I went on mute for so long that I didn't realize. Yeah, I didn't realize that I was on mute to begin. Hey, party people. Thanks for coming by. Appreciate y'all stopping by. Appreciate my buddy Matt Tanner joining me because we're going to break down UFC Vegas 99 back at the Apex this week with a fight that Matty teased last week. Is a really darn good one in the main event. Anthony Hernandez, Michel, Pereira. But we do have 11 fights on this card to break down. We're going to do it one by one, and we've got much better work on the slides this week from me and the team behind the scenes. So we are rocking and ready to go. So I got to bring in my man, the myth, the long shot legend, Matty Tanner, and ask him one question. How you doing today, buddy?
Good, bro. Good. I'm ready for this weekend. The Contender Series last night drove me crazy, that fucking card.
Yeah, I needed about 3.5 units to have my first Contender Series profitable season. It went out the door on a split decision, and I have no idea how Del Val, the Cuban guy, did not get inside the distance cast for me. Like, he was absolutely lighting Montero up in the second round.
It was insane. I can't deal with all these split decisions anymore, dude.
Yeah, and
we were talking with Michael Bisping on the pod the other day about split decisions. He's saying basically that like something has to be done with the judging, which I was surprised he came out and said that.
Sure. Yeah, he's usually a very pro UFC guy, but like I think UFC's getting frustrated too. I'm a data guy. I think we have enough tools with significant strikes and control time and things like that to figure out a scoring system that's a little bit less subjective, but takes effort, takes research. I don't know if UFC necessarily loves that because we also love on Monday morning to talk about split decisions and how it was a robbery or what you do with this fighter or that fighter. So it creates a little bit of a discussion point too for the promotion. But what do you think of this card, bud?
It's okay. It's decent. I love the main event. I actually think the first fight and the main event are two of the more entertaining ones.
Yeah.
Matsumoto is on this card. Shout out to him. He cashed me my 46K parlay.
Yep.
The Rob Font fight's okay.
Yep.
It's kind of, it's an okay card. Maybe a little below average, truthfully.
Yeah, I have a dog I love on this card. Main event's been a struggle. I was able to model it. We'll talk about why it is a struggle because of how I was able to model it. But I think it's an interesting one, at least from a betting perspective. It won't be a too long of one. We only have 11 fights, and that starts with this guy here at heavyweight, Robelis Despaigne, taking on Austen Lane. And this is the random heavyweight nonsense that they throw at Matty and I's way where we have to waffle. Well, he could do this, or he could do that, or he could do this. And Robelis Despaigne is a guy you and I were pretty big on in his last fight. Waldo Cortez Acosta ended up coming out and wrestling him out of nowhere. And then Austen Lane on the other side here, winless in UFC thus far. We have a little bit more extended sample from him, but his competition seems to keep winning after they fight him. So UFC letting him hang around and try it again. So Matty, Despaigne, one of the bigger favorites on the card here at minus 430. What are you thinking in this fight?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's really a world that Austen Lane could do what Cortez Acosta did to Despaigne. I just don't think he's well-rounded enough a guy or good enough defensively. I mean, I think that wasn't even talked about enough because obviously he was able to get takedowns and hold him down. But even on the feet with his back against the cage, he was able to do enough defensively against Robelis. So it's just really, how do you play Robelis here? Is it round 2 knockout? You know, because that's probably where all the value is going to be. I don't know what the props are here, but I don't know that Austen Lane can take him down and hold him down for the whole first round. You got to think that Robelis has worked on that since his last fight, I would imagine. And although Austen Lane's is big, former tight end, athletic, I don't know that he's the well-rounded MMA practitioner that Acosta was. So I don't know. I think this is the UFC giving Austen Lane on a platter to Robelis in this fight to kind of start building him back up, especially this weekend. We see Francis versus Pereira in the PFL. It's like, you know, this is like the UFC's prodigy here, the 6'7" guy that they want to see a huge knockout, highlight reel knockout for this guy. So I think round 1, 2, but I don't know what the odds are, obviously. I mean, I'm assuming round 1 is going to be minus money.
Yeah, I think the most interesting thing you said there is that you think UFC is still trying to build up Despaigne. I doesn't he have a defined ceiling at this point where really, unless they gave him the Alex Pereira treatment, completely avoided any sort of wrestling threat. Like, I don't know if he's going to be able to get through this and have any sort of meaningful fight inside the rankings or anything like that, even though he's a very good creative striker.
Yeah, I mean, it's heavyweight. I think they'll still build him up.
Yeah.
I mean, just remember 2 fights ago, I was at that fight live. Who was it?
He was taking on Josh Parisian in Miami.
Yeah, that was the fight I was at in Miami. I mean, that was a highlight early finish. Yeah. So I don't think we should dismiss him yet after one fight. That loss could have been a good loss for him to kind of teach him. So I think it's round 1, 2. I don't know what the odds are yet.
Yeah, my verdict is the same as yours. I think it's a Despaigne buy low spot here where, like, you know, he had the disastrous performance against Cortez Acosta, but let's holistically look at the things that Cortez Acosta, we knew about him that Austen Lane we know does not have. Not particularly durable. He's kind of chinny. He was hurt by both Denise and Justin Tafa. Not really a good wrestler at all. Like, he got that one surprise takedown on Denise in the first round and, you know, almost got him out of there with ground and pound, but it also cost him a bad gas tank, whereas we've seen Waldo go 15 hard minutes and he had plenty of endurance in that fight. So it's like, Austen Lane's not giving me a lot here to give a hope and promise with the whole fact that, yeah, you might also get chinned, and he's probably way out of his element here on the feet in a taekwondo, any sort of slow-paced fight here. So I'm kind of thinking round 1 KO. We know we can throw sub away with Despaigne. Hopefully you and I are on the same page here. We'll pass on this sub prop. But, like, I do see a roundabout argument for Lane points just because of what we saw with Waldo in the last fight, but I just haven't seen a lot that inspires hope that Austin can replicate that sort of result. And I'm not paying a minus 430 money line for Despaigne. I bet knockout's going to be close to minus 300 if that's the case. Like, there's just not really, like you said, a great angle to back Despaigne unless you eat the chalk small, like round 1, and that's kind of what I think is going to happen here. I think he's going to blink him. I do think it's a build-up spot, and Lane just doesn't give me a lot of hope.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if we can get a round 1 number here from somewhere.
Good idea. Yeah, because so FanDuel's actually FanDuel's having some issues with this UFC card. Obviously, we had the Jake Hadley fight change yesterday, so no odds there, but also 2 others missing odds. So.
Robelis by KO is minus 375. Round 1 is minus 140.
It's not bad, honestly.
Just a round 1 finish. You know, obviously, pretty much is going to be the KO round 1 number. Okay, so here it is. Here's an interesting one. Look, the Austen Lane KO props are out of this world.
Okay.
Round 1, 12 to 1. Round 2, 17 to 1, and then 30 to 1. Round 3. Let's see. So round 1 KO for Robelis is -135. Round 2 KO is +475. So like if Austin Lane can take him down, hold him down, that round 2 at +475, which I believe is how Lane lost his last fight, right?
It was.
That's got to have a little bit of attractiveness at +475. You're just gonna sweat your ass off for 5 minutes.
Yeah. It's just there are so many creative ways that you could play Robelis or like hedge with Lane and get an amazing number around making the core play the round 1 KO. Yeah. I don't think -135 is a bad number at all. That's like, what is that, 58% implied or so?
Yeah, it's not bad. What do you think? Do you think Robelis, because I know you said you're not high on like him being a big name or big in heavyweight, but like,
yeah,
I think he has way more potential than the Tafa brothers.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think he'd smoke either Tafa brother. This is a guy, when you and I were talking about before the Miami card, like guys were going seconds with him regionally, and then he stunted Parisian in what?
Look how bad Tafa looked.
Yeah.
It's the other Tafa. It's not the Tafa that fought Austin Lane.
Yeah.
But look how bad he looked this past weekend. I'll tell you a secret. I unofficially sprinkled on his opponent to win by round 1 TKO.
Really?
And the dude was on his back getting ground and pounded the last 5-10 seconds of that round 1. I thought the ref was going to stop it. I would have hit huge.
Yeah.
It was like, I got to pull that shit up now, but I think it was something ridiculous. Like,
I played Sharaf money line in that fight as well, just because I wanted to encompass a
dude. We should have won that. It should have got called off at the end of round 1. It was there's some refs that would have stopped that fight.
And then it just became a heavyweight gas bag sort of fight. And by the way, that's on the table for this one, is that it could just become which of these guys. But, Despaigne has so much combat experience. He really hasn't had any sort of combat chin issues, knockout issues, anything like that, even dating back to Taekwondo. Like, it feel like Lane is up shit's creek without a paddle here. He could get the takedowns, but at the same time, Despaigne's probably been training for that, and he's a big, tall guy that once he gets his takedown defense practiced and regimented, it feels like he's going to be pretty darn good at that too. A little bit like how Poetan's improved at 205.
I had round 1 KO at 6-1, round 2 at 11-1. I just sprinkled on it because I think Tafa's shit, and he almost got knocked out in that first round.
They both are. So that was the first fight a Tafa brother has ever won outside of 2 minutes, and that's probably what I guessed it would have looked like. Is the other guy expired? So you and I kind of on the same page. Robelis KO1, not a bad number, but we'll kind of have to see where some of these Lane props come in. See if I'd play a hedge off of that, or round 2, like you said, if almost 5-1, maybe he gets a takedown, maybe he holds him down, but I don't think even -375 is something we could include in our safe parlay. It doesn't even feel that safe relative to price.
I think it's pretty safe overall, though, truthfully, the more I think about it. I just don't know what Austin Lane's path is, because I don't think he's high level enough to hold this dude down for 3 rounds, and I don't see him catching him. I just don't think he's good enough.
If you can find, I don't know if we're going to be able to craft this week's parlay on FanDuel. We'll have to do it on Shady Sportsbook. If you can find round 1 2 KO for Despaigne at like -200, -220, that might not be too bad. Like if we throw round 3 away, I think if it gets to the 3rd round, I don't really want a piece of this fight. Lane's probably winning it, and that's a frightening proposition. So we'll move on. And by the way, if we could pull up the comment about PFL locks this weekend, Matty, if you're down, I could talk a little bit. We could talk.
We can talk. I would love to talk about that card. It's a better card than the UFC this weekend.
Yeah, there's some massive PFL fights. We'll talk about it a little bit at the end of the show. So we only have 11 fights, so we should have plenty of time, and especially since we're moving on to this one here.
Or we could just skip fights like this and talk about it.
Hey, I played this is my only bet on this card so far. Okay, you gotta give me this one. Melissa Martinez taking on Alice Ardelean. Ardelean and Martinez both coming off unsuccessful UFC debuts. Martinez lost to Elise Reed last year, and Ardelean took that short notice fight against Shauna Bannon back in England in July. So both of these ladies looking for a win in the win column. Most likely one of them is going to get it. Who do you think is going to end up getting this win of these two? Like, do you have one that you think is a little better than the other?
I like your dog pick, truthfully, because I like that split decision loss in her last fight. I think that's a decent loss.
Yeah. I didn't even say I was on the dog yet. You just kind of assumed because I was on Ardelean last time.
I thought you said, oh, so you're not?
No, I am, but you just kind of assumed that I was.
I just knew, bro. I could just tell.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I think it's a good dog pick, even though these dog women MMA fighters are never winning for us or in general. But I like the dog pick.
I would not be surprised if this one closed a pick'em. It was plus 130 on Sunday, all the way down to plus 112. It's only Wednesday. So, as you know, especially I think when you line these girls up side by side, Ardelean's a lot bigger, which physicality does matter in women's MMA quite a bit. And then here's the only case I need to make to you. You ready for this? Elise Reed took Melissa Martinez down 3 times and controlled her. Elise freaking
I know. No, that's a good point. That's a good point.
And like Ardelean, I think she showed good top control. She actually almost got a submission in the debut against Bannon. That was a split decision. You definitely could argue she lost the fight, but it was a close one. And the thing I said about Ardelean last time we had her on the show, and I pronounced her name wrong a billion times and talked about her, I think she's mean. And by the way, her analytics graded out really great from that fight. 54% accuracy, 54% defense. So she was on the better end of the exchanges with Shauna Bannon from an efficiency standpoint, and defended all the takedowns, landed 2 of 4 herself. I think that really checked out against a prospect that is maybe better than Martinez overall, question mark. I certainly think plus money is pretty ridiculous when at worst to me this should be a pick. Martinez, I hate to go to the word embarrassing, but like when she was taken down and controlled by Reed, she was also out to lunch and dropped at distance. Like I just didn't see a lot of hope there.
Agreed.
Other than her brother getting into the UFC on the Contender Series a couple weeks ago, he seems to be a significantly better prospect in the men's bantamweight side. So we'll move forward. Maybe I convince Matty to throw Ardelean in the safe parlay. Maybe not, but. How about that? How about that transition to Elise Reed as we were talking about her? She's back at the Apex too, taking on Jessica Penne. And this is another one of those fights Matty probably is thinking about skipping. I was actually able to model these 2 UFC veterans and got a result that made me need some Tums. It made my stomach upset a little bit. What do you think here with Elise Reed at minus 166 on FanDuel? This is actually off the board at FanDuel right now, but it was around this neighborhood this morning. So about minus 170 or so.
Yeah, I mean, Jessica Penne is very difficult to handicap, bro.
Yes.
She's got good wins like over Lupita Godinez, but then she has some really bad losses. She's also 41. She's doing the podcast route. She's not that focused. No. I don't want to say that because obviously any fighter can do a podcast and still be focused. But I think for her and at this age, I don't know. It's like if there's anyone that's ever going to be a dog against Elise Reed, this is it.
Right.
You know, she got armbarred against Tabitha Ricci and lost that unanimous decision against Emily Ducote. I think it's Elise Reed by decision. Is my prediction here.
I like Ducote. That loss is okay to me. You love Ricci, so the Tabitha sub. It is a little concerning. That was Tabitha's only finish on this winning streak that she's been on, and like the age concerns very prevalent. I of course am able to model that though, and I think this comes down to the fact I can trust Penne to take the right sort of game plan to beat Elise Reed. She averages 6.29 takedowns per 15. She really grapples no matter what. Like the Ducote fight, she was stuck at distance, ended up losing handily. She still tried 8 takedowns. She just wasn't able to get them. We see fighters take Elise Reed down. I think she's physically the larger fighter in this matchup, which will help with that. But yeah, she's kind of a heavy bag at distance. Elise Reed quietly has shown a little bit of power. I mentioned she dropped Martinez. She also has I think does she have a knockout? Am I remembering that correctly? Oh, no, she doesn't. It's
Elise Reed?
Yeah, no, she doesn't have a knockout. All 3 of her wins.
She's 5-0 in decisions, which is pretty important here.
Yeah. That is really interesting when I think of Elise. What that tells me is that if girls can get her on the mat, she probably is going to get finished. Like I should.
What's Penne by sub? I gotta take a look, bro.
Well, Matty, I mentioned to you my model result that I was a little bit squeamish about. It is giving me Jessica Penne by sub. I've got it at 14.3%. There's no way it's not going to show value in that spot. It's like I've got it like plus 600. Maybe it is, but I have to imagine over 2.5 is juice to the gills in this fight wherever you look. That's just women's strawweight and the way it goes.
Let's take a look here.
Oh yeah, Penne's plus. Yeah, over 2.5 minus 275 on Shady Sportsbook. So there's no way Penne is a plus.
Penne's up to plus 150 on one site.
Yeah. I like
Plus
money line.
450 by submission.
Yeah. I like money line because we've seen Elise Reed ground and pound by Sam Hughes. We've seen the submission stuff get Elise Reed's number, and then you get the decision in a fight overwhelmingly likely to go the distance. So
20-1 for Penne by KO.
now that
oh my god, dude.
I just think I think if she's looking, if she's dominant on the ground,
I remember when I had Loopy. That's right. I had Loopy by KO.
You did
against Elise Reed, and she subbed her.
Yeah,
that's right.
The thing about Hughes is she's a good wrestler, but doesn't really have any submission tendency. The girls that have been good at wrestling and submission tendencies have subbed Elise Reed. And that's kind of like why my model says I've got sub at 14%, knockout at just 2.6. That's kind of where that comes from. So, but I think the money line is a good value. I've got Penne 52.1. I've got her a favorite, even though she's old and it hasn't gone well recently, but I think she's got the right tools in the toolkit to win here.
I like it. We'll see. We'll see where I end up on that one. Dude, what is with all these fights, bro?
Matty, just if I'm begging you to play the sub, I just want you to play the sub. The thing is, we were unaligned on Cody Hadden
on the last fight.
No, you text me on Saturday. I'm like, hey, I played Hadden KO decision. You're like, damn,
I know.
I just want to make sure.
And Hadden almost had the sub too.
Yeah,
if he finishes that backpack, I win $103,000, bro.
Yeah. I would.
You see that? Because I wouldn't have known until after the second leg hit. But what was the second leg? It was a 2-leg submission. Who had a submission a couple fights after?
Pat Sabatini.
Yeah, that was an easy one, bro. Yeah, should have known better.
It was
I'd play that
unforgivable mistake for me to not hedge out my Pierce action. I said it on the show last week. I said Sabatini sub. It was a good number at 6-1. It was unforgivable for me to not hedge out there. But hey, we learn, we get better. Like we know what we're doing, and I don't think it's going to help me in this fight, Matty. Another random women's MMA fight between Joselyne Edwards taking on Tamires Vidal. Both these ladies former 145ers. I guess this is going to attempt to go down at 135, but we see a lot of weight misses and stuff like that. Joselyne coming off that fight against Ailin Perez, she probably was the closest one to beating Perez of her recent competition, whereas Tamires Vidal lost to Montserrat Rendon on the other side. So Joselyne's laid a lot of chalk, minus 295. Could not model this guy, but I think I do have a lean. Do you?
I like Joselyne. I think Joselyne's kind of underrated, and I think Vidal's terrible, dude. I think she's awful.
Same breed. Okay, good.
Yeah, I think she's terrible, bro. I'm wondering if she can get finished in this fight.
Sure. I mean, she lost her last fight against Melissa Gatto by the boob punch, right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Yeah. This fight to not go the distance is plus 250. Joselyne Edwards by submission is 10-1, and by KO is 6-1.
Oh, so we're gonna get a fat number on inside the distance here.
Yeah,
we want it.
Probably like 3-1, right, or something.
Yeah.
I would even go 2-3, maybe round 2-3. So
yes,
you just go Edwards round 2, 10-1. Edwards round 3, 16-1. Count me in on this.
Yeah, do you remember, though, in the Perez fight? Yeah, she did have, like, a dangerous sub in there as well, and I don't feel like Vidal can grab. I feel like Edwards, I've always been in on her, like, since her UFC debut. I think athletically, she profiles to do well in this 135. She had issues with her takedown defense. I think it's gotten better. I feel like her grappling across the board has gotten better, and we saw her light up some fools at distance at times as well. Like, she's in a lot of close decisions, and, like, maybe I end up playing inside the distance and it's all for naught. But like, I really think Edwards by domination is how to play this fight.
Yeah. And we've seen Vidal quit. I mean,
yeah, she quits. Yeah.
She quit, dude. I really like Edwards inside the distance here. Yeah.
Famous last words. I had the women's fight last night to not go the distance, and that was like back and forth war. Martinez, she landed like a flying clean knee, just didn't affect anything. But at least this is women's 135, so it's a heavier weight class. We do see more finishes here. It's more plausible, I think, is the way I'd put it.
I agree.
So
I like this one, or you can just go not to go the distance plus 250 if you think it was actually capable.
I feel good about Edwards' defense.
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't. Dang, is that right? 49% striking defense? Man, maybe you're right, Matty. Maybe you do just play the total instead.
Yeah.
That's weird. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll move forward to a fight that I think actually you and I are delighted to see. I certainly am, because Brad Katona and John Matsumoto, this is like the changing of the guard type of fight at bantamweight, even though Katona just got back here at 135. But Matsumoto, man, he blew through Casey Tanner on the Contender Series. He catched that submission for you against Dan Argueta. Profiles to be a well-rounded guy that can kind of do it all. Katona a little bit the same way. So I really like this matchup as like a test for Matsumoto. He's minus 260, so odds makers expecting he passes it. What do you think here?
I mean, I'm Matsumoto here all day. This guy cashed my 46K parlay for me with the 7-1 submission.
Yep.
So I'm a little biased towards him. I don't think he looked that fantastic in that fight until he got the sub, though.
Yep.
But Brad Katona, bro, that Jesse Butler fight was miserable.
It was.
Decision win. I mean, to a guy that Jim Miller put out cold in like seconds. And then some of his, like the Garrett Armfield loss is okay. I don't know. He fought Marab back in 2019.
Yeah, and that was.
He also choked out Bryce Mitchell back in 2018. Is that crazy?
Yeah. MMA
beat
so weird.
Kyler Phillips back in 2018. What the fuck, dude?
I just feel like Katona is athletically limited, man. Like that Butler fight, it didn't feel like he had any sort of plausible answer to look for a finish. It looked like all he could do was sit in Butler's guard, and that's like, to me, the upside. If that's the upside you got offensively in MMA in 2024, you're asking to lose a split decision to some dude who lays on his back for 5 minutes. Like they're begging to give these decisions away from wrestlers. We saw it last night with Piccinini, right?
Yeah.
I'm with you. I think Matsumoto, it depends on if we can find some method of victory breakdown, Matty. I think points should be the most favored outcome here. Katona just generally a durable guy, hard to finish, but like the way Cody Gibson was landing on him back and forth, Gibson feels like just a regional guy who it isn't particularly special other than having long weapons. Like Matsumoto, we've seen the submission danger. I don't think we've seen the best of his hands and his power at this point. Like,
yeah,
maybe I'd put knockout second and then submission a decent way back, just because Katona really a ground guy himself. But like, I'm with you. I think Matsumoto ends up winning this pretty comfortably.
Yeah, it is a tough fight when Katona's never been finished.
Right.
It's a tough fight, honestly.
Yeah. I just would be beside myself if somehow Katona ended up mounting enough offense to squeak by him. When I thought the Armfield matchup was more winnable, we saw Armfield struggle with takedowns against Brady Heastand. Matsumoto's not a guy that appears he's going to make a very high concerted effort to wrestle, but I like that because you can conserve energy. I feel like these guys that just spam wrestling, I hate to reference the Contender Series again, but like Piccinini, you exhaust yourself trying to employ that game plan. I think Matsumoto just does what comes naturally, what is most efficient in that moment. I really like him, Matty. I think he's a good prospect.
Yeah, I like it.
So we're gonna go with Matsumoto to pass the test. We'll see if we can cook something up there. But this is really kind of, I think, where the card starts to pick up, right? This is scheduled to be the future prelim. It might bump onto the main card in light of the Jake Hadley Heastand news and a new fight we'll talk about later down the road. But Asu Almabayev, guy that's come through with a couple of dominant wins now, using his wrestling, can get takedowns with the best of them. And now is this guy for real check against Matheus Nicolau, a guy that was just in a main event. We've seen him fight Manel Kopp. We've seen him fight Pantoja. We've seen him fight Tim Elliott. Like, this guy's fought all of the top guys at lightweight or flyweight. If Almabayev beats him, that's a huge feather in his cap. The question is, will he do so? He's minus 192 on the money line here. So what do you think here?
Yeah, I mean, this is actually not the worst matchup for Nicolau because he's not like this big power striker that's going to knock you out, right? And Nicolau's never been subbed. So it makes me feel like Asu by decision here is the move, right? I think he's going to be able to out-grapple him and win like a wrestling type match. But this could also be a buy low spot on Nicolau. I was super high on him. I thought he was maybe a future title challenger, but the dude is a glass chin, so... It's like, depends how you look at this fight. It's a toss-up. Truthfully, I think he was at minus 160. I think at minus 190, I have to pass on him.
Yep.
I think this keeps climbing.
Yep.
But I could maybe lay a decision play here, depending on what the number is. But I think the over here is the play either way. I think this fight goes the distance. So I could see a split decision on this one 100%. I think we keep seeing splits here.
Yeah. Oh boy. What could possibly go wrong when I'm going to end up making this my biggest bet of the week? I love Matheus Nicolau in this fight.
Yeah.
93% takedown defense. He's been a bear for any of these top guys to take down. Almabayev, it felt a little tougher for him in that Jose Johnson fight. Now, given there was a great size discrepancy, but like, let's realize who he's gone through at this point. It's been Jose Johnson and CJ Vergara. Now you throw him in the rankings against a guy with the best takedown defense in the rankings. And Nicolau's a guy that's burned me. My model loves him. It sees his 66% striking defense and says this guy's unbelievable defensively. He really just has chin issues, right? And I think if you're going to give him a matchup, this is as good as it gets, where Almabayev is a smaller guy, hasn't shown a ton of punching power thus far. And really, to me, this money line is so obviously a sell high on Almabayev, buy low on Nicolau as the guy who's been there, done that. It feels like I messed this up last week with Tyra, and I didn't even feel this good about Royal's takedown defense. I didn't feel this good about his jiu-jitsu, but Nicolau's a guy that has thrown submissions out there, 0.8 per 15 minutes. Really good pace on those. I thought he was like a well-rounded title contender. He may not have the chin to do that, but I think he can beat Almabayev, and I saw a book hang a plus 170 on Nicolau today. I'm just waiting, man. The CLV Warriors are going after Almabayev and Droz. I will wait for the best number that I'm going to play 3 units on Nicolau this weekend.
I was just looking at the over. It's that fight to go the distance going to be like minus 230, 250.
Yeah, this fight?
The over 2.5 is, I think, minus 285.
In this fight?
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. That must be a discount because I feel like people are going to sell Nicolau's chin at this point, no?
Yeah, but I think again, it's just what we just touched on. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as does he really have KOs? He only has subs.
I mean, we've seen his tendency. He goes for takedown. By the way, he's very efficient.
He has 3 knockouts, but how long ago were they? So 2 of his last 4 fights have been chokes, and then the other 2 have been decisions. He hasn't had a knockout in 5 years, 6 years. You know, he's not knocking guys out on the feet. You know, so the real question is if Nicolau is defending these takedowns, is he live for a knockout?
Yeah, especially if Almabayev starts to get tired. But I do think I'm leaning Nicolau points. Let me check the total result that I've got here. Oh, I wasn't able to model this guy because Almabayev not quite at 45 octagon minutes. That's why I felt it was a little like I think Nicolau by points. I tend to lean that way when Almabayev really hasn't shown any durability issues or cardio, which is like if he was going to get tired, maybe I'd think Nicolau 2-3. But I think Nicolau points is probably the angle I'm going to play here as I tack on a prop.
For sure. So I don't know what I'm doing with that one yet, truthfully, but
yeah.
I would have played Almabayev at like minus 150, but not at that number. And honestly, I don't even know if I would have liked it at minus 150. Yeah. I just think he's able to just do more with the grappling. Maybe even if it's like he's not getting the takedowns, he's just busier.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel like there's a little bit of stereotyping going on with these like Kazakhstan guys. Like Azat Maxim,
that's a good point. Yeah.
Like it's like he ends up going the distance, loses to Charles Johnston. He had that really close fight with Tyson Nam. It's like these guys come from the same country as Shavkat. I'm not sure any of them are as good as Shavkat. And, I don't actually know if I'm going to bet on Shavkat against Bilal, depending on the number we get here in December.
Bilal ML. If you give me over 2-1 on Bilal, I'm dropping a $10,000 bomb on him easily.
It's unbelievable. It's like I kind of want to hop off Bilal at some point.
I do think Bilal's one way to lose that fight is to get caught in some sort of choke on the ground or taking him down. That's my biggest fear for Bilal in that fight. I'm not worried about the striking on the feet. I'm not worried about cardio, obviously. I'm not worried about anything else. I think Bilal puts a pace on him, stays in his face, does the same thing he did to Leon. But Leon had his back for a round. Also on the takedowns of Elise's neck out there, Shavkat has lethal submission abilities. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to drop a massive bomb on Bilal money line. And then I'm going to put a little small bet on Shavkat by sub.
Yeah.
And as long as one of those hit, I'm good.
Yeah. I like that angle. I can't wait to model it and see where we go. I don't really look ahead. I try to stay focused in the present so that I can lose money on Matheus Nicolau this weekend. So we'll move on to the main card here and bring up this fight. At least we think it's going to be on the main card. It might get bumped to the prelims. Haven't gotten an official announcement from UFC.
This card's pretty bad. I take that back. It's not below average. It's pretty fucking bad, dude.
Hey, at least we can get through it and talk about PFL. But hey, Smotherman now going to step in. Smotherman was knocked out on the Contender Series last season. He is now getting an opportunity against Jake Hadley on short notice at 135. Hadley originally scheduled to fight Hiestand after his win over Keelan Loughran on short notice back in England in July. So, Matty, Jake Hadley, if I had to guess, Hadley's probably going to be at least a moderate favorite here, the minus 200 or north, because he's the guy.
I think so. He's fought good competition. This guy did go the distance with Darren and Johnson.
Yeah.
I don't know. His hands might be live here on the feet. His striking has looked Hadley.
Yeah.
His KO prop could be live on the feet here, truthfully.
Yeah.
He's an aggressive guy. I think he's got good speed and power. Nothing crazy, but this guy's been knocked out a couple times. He hasn't fought high level competition.
Yep.
And the last 3 fights Hadley has fought are solid guys that are, historically pretty durable. This could be kind of a decent step down for him to get back on track with some sort of highlight finish. I do need to watch some more tape here on Cameron, but I think my initial lean is Hadley by knockout here.
Yeah, I'm trying to find any odds at all. Offshore, you name it. I'm trying to find any odds at all. So if anyone in chat can help us out as well, I'm just very curious because Smotherman is a guy that I liked coming on the Contender Series last year, and he got chinned early by Charlampus Grigori. And Grigori looked awful. Like he got submitted by Kazama. That was one of your long shots that cashed Kazama with the sub against him with Yusuf Zalal a few weeks back at, I think it was Vegas 94, I want to say. But like, I see Smotherman as a guy that has really talented hands, good hand speed, quick, good footwork, and I feel like he can defend wrestling. At least we've seen it a little bit on the regional scene. And to me, this is a spot that I think Jake Hadley needs to be careful. I cash Hadley as a dog against Loughran. He's a guy I so much prefer to bet as a dog than I do as a favorite because he's so destined to underwhelm in some spots. Remember the Cody Durden fight?
He did have Cody in a nasty submission attempt, and Darren just survived it.
Yeah. And like I am wary of Hadley's BJJ, I think, most in this matchup because Smotherman's just very raw. He's coming from Fury FC in Texas, which I guess is my home state now, but there's not a lot of grappling as part of the promotion. That can't be right. Wait, Hadley plus 124. Those are the odds he stand. That you probably.
That's not right. Yeah. I don't think that's right. I think he's like over a 2-1 favorite.
Yeah, I liked he stand this week. I really did because Hadley struggled with takedown defenses sometimes, and Brady's a dog that'll keep coming. But like,
wow, no, it is no. That was in his original matchup. Yeah. That was in the Brady fight. No, he's not listed anywhere right now.
Yeah, that
fight's barely listed anywhere.
The thing about Hadley, I don't think he's got very much power because he's moving up to 135. He didn't really seem to phase Loughran much with those shots at all at 135. And he was prepping for a wrestler in Brady Hiestand. Now he gets a striker in Smotherman. It's a completely different style to game plan for. Like, as we sit here today, I'm leaning dog shot on a guy that I really liked coming onto the Contender Series, even though I'm very sketched out about his chin and a really bad loss in that situation.
That's fair.
But like, I don't know. I'd have to see the numbers to see if maybe I think something like Hadley subbed 5-1. Now we're talking. Now that's kind of interesting. So it'll really just depend on what the numbers come through here.
For sure. Let's move on.
But we'll talk about a fight that we actually have some data and actually have like real odds that are on the United States ground here. I think we got Elkins Pineda up next here. There we go. I was right. Darren Elkins taking on Daniel Pineda. How about these featherweight warriors approaching 40? This fight is going to be a banger. I used to do Austin's Fight of the Night for my podcast, like a fight I was most looking to, I think would have the most action. That is this fight. Daniel Pineda and Elkins are going to go to war for 15 minutes. We'll see if it ends up going the distance, but tough fight. I was able to model it, of course, because these guys have been around forever, Matty. Almost a pick 'em. So really easy question. Who you got?
The model you said's that a pick 'em?
No, I've got it modeled. I'll check what it is here, but
Yeah.
it's almost a pick 'em. So what you thinking?
Yeah, it's a tough fight. I initially was gonna look at a dog play on Elkins, but I don't know, man. Two old guys here. Pineda, what? 19 wins by submission. Jesus.
It's such great matchmaking because Elkins is this Teflon guy that's impossible to submit.
I know.
My question to anyone is, does anyone think it's a good idea in general? Like the Andre Fili fight was an eye poke where he was rocked right before that. It looked like he was going to get finished. And then, I don't want to say took the easy way out, but he definitely was on the losing side of that. Should have lost 4 of his last 5. He had the sub against Tucker Lutz mixed in there, but like not trending the right way. Now the competition level is not bad. Nathaniel Wood, Alex Caceres. I mentioned Feely and Cub Swanson, whereas Cub finished Elkins in the first round. So, there's an argument on both sides here. But you said you were thinking about a dog shot at Elkins. That is what my model would do.
I think so. That's what I'm leaning right now.
Yeah, my model would go that direction. I've got Elkins at 55.6%. I'm kind of ambiguous on a total. I've got it 57.7% likely to go the distance. I think the slam dunk way I want to play this, Pineda is a little bit of a gas bag. Elkins is this incredible cardio warrior that gets stronger as the fight goes. I want to play Elkins 2-3 here, bro. And
I was just gonna say 2-3.
It's gonna be good numbers if we end up getting him as a dog overall, I think.
Yeah. The fight to go the distance is plus 160.
Okay.
Let's see. Elkins round 2. 7-1, round 3, 9-1.
Holy moly.
I'm in on that.
Would you think at all about leaping to I guess I've got sub KO almost equal. So
dude, Pineda's 0 for 7 on decisions. That's crazy. Yeah. Wow.
I just don't think Pineda is very good in general. Negative 0.38 striking success rate, pretty inefficient on his wrestling. Like he's a big guy for this weight class, but I don't think he's very I don't think he's very talented, I guess, in a vacuum. Whereas Elkins, I think you could trust his wrestling. I think you could trust his cardio. The one thing that gives me a little pause is that like the moments against Cub Swanson where he got finished early, the JSP fight, he was bloodied and battered. It's like Pineda can hit hard. I see why the under is favored here, but in general, I think short of one huge moment, I think Elkins is going to no doubt win minutes in this fight.
I like it, bro.
Yeah.
I'm leaning the same way here.
Yeah. I might even play 2-3 decision as a result of like a main play on round 3 decision and then go round 2 is like a tiny sprinkle just because it's more of a gas tank play and I don't know if he's going to gas in the second round. Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're on the same page with me. I feel like Pineda is going to get a lot of love this week, whereas Elkins, to me, has been fighting much better. Like he dominated TJ Brown, no problem against Tristan Connolly. Like he lost to JSP and then had the Cub fight mixed in there, but I still feel like he's fighting well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Elkins' decision could be a play too, though.
Yeah, I mean, like if Pineda's tough, man. Like he survived to the end against Caceres, survived Nathaniel Wood after getting dropped early. Like Elkins late. I mean, maybe I end up making my main play the money line here, but I don't know if I need to throw round 1 in there. I don't think Pineda's getting subbed round 1,
no,
or anything like that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Come to the Elkins dark side. The model likes it. I've got him like minus 125 or so. So, Matty, we're flying through this show, but honestly, we've been pretty darn aligned on. Have we disagreed yet? Like I don't know if you've got a super strong feeling the other direction.
Not really, no.
Perfect. We got plenty of time to disagree and argue in this next fight, which is the third to last one on the card. Charles Johnson taking on Mudaerji. I actually don't know if we're going to be split on this fight. I don't really know what to do with it. CJ's minus 225. Like, Mudaerji's had this weird career arc where he's been, he was kind of the next hot thing, and then he was submitted by Matt Schnell in a wild comeback, and Tim Elliott got him in his last fight. And now
that fight was fucking crazy, bro.
The Schnell fight? I mean, the Schnell fight was bananas.
Yeah, that was one of the greatest comebacks of all time, and I was on the wrong side of that shit.
Me too. I had Mudaerji KO, and it nearly cashed, and then it didn't. So
yeah, the problem is this dude is he's a knockout artist, and you're facing a guy that doesn't get knocked out.
Yep.
You know, the 2-3 here, I think, makes a lot of sense for Charles Johnson.
You think that he could KO Mudaerji?
I think dude, what's the sub prop pay here? Charles Johnson was 0 or has 4 submission wins.
Yeah, and by the way, 3 submission attempts against Maxim 3 fights ago. Yeah, actually a way higher rate of subs than I thought he was going to have. What do I have Johnson sub in this fight?
Bro, Johnson sub is smacking. I think we found a long shot play here.
Yeah, so I've got Johnson sub 9.82%. Which is about plus 920.
Plus 340, bro.
Wait, Johnson sub is plus 340? That's terrible, man.
On a random site. Let me see if it's not on FanDuel yet, is it? This is main card. It might be. Yeah, it is. Hold on. Plus 390, bro. It's hitting, though.
Yeah.
It's fucking hitting. I think it's honestly hitting. Hold on. I gotta look at this shit. I think it's hidden, dude.
Yeah, I've kind of got a prior on Mudaerji at this point that he just really can't grapple at all. Like, at all. And his level of competition that he's beaten is really trash.
And do you look at Charles Johnson as like a game plan type of guy?
No.
I
feel like he's a frustrating guy. I feel like he's a frustrating type of guy that just kind of vibes in the octagon.
This dude's been sub. I mean, this dude got subbed in his last 2 fights. That's why the number's so low. Yeah. That's the problem.
Here's why I hate the number.
Let me put it this way. He's been subbed. You ready for this? His last 5 losses, he's been subbed. That's the only way this dude loses.
Oh, that's why sub is plus 30.
Hold on. Last 6 losses, even dating back to 2016. 1, 2, 3, 4. Every professional loss has been submission. That's crazy.
That's why subs plus 390 here.
Hold on. I gotta see something real quick. And Johnson by KO is plus 850. If anything, that's where the value is. Dude's coming off of a nasty knockout win.
Yeah.
Over Josh Van.
I've got, man, this is tough. I got to figure out what I want to do here because I've got Johnson modeled minus 155. I think the problem with the sub prop being so short, Charles doesn't wrestle. Just 0.3 attempts per 15 minutes. He doesn't wrestle. And I have a horrible feeling that Johnson is going to go to a striking match with Mudaerji, and that is one very much I think Mudaerji can win. I've got him 57% likely to win the distance striking differential. So just who lands more significant strikes at distance. So man, this is tough. He looked outstanding against Josh Van in his last fight, though. He's not a stock that in general I want to fade.
Yeah. I think you have to go Johnson KO plus 850 at this point.
Yeah. Oh, and now that was what I played against Hadley, dude. And he dropped Hadley in that fight. And I was like, Johnson had all these regional knockouts. We still... So KO's plus 850, sub is plus 390.
I might just go inside the distance here.
Yeah.
For Johnson, turn that minus 225 around to probably plus 225. Hold on. Or plus 2 something.
It's a good point we got in chat that Johnson
plus 240 inside the distance. Sign me up for that.
Oh, that's a really darn good number. When I at this point, Mudaerji, we barely see him. His level of competition is very poor. I think inside the distance is a good number there, but I would lean more KO than sub. If we could put that comment up, Johnson hasn't wrestled because he's always fighting better grapplers. I do think that is true. He fought Azat Maxim, he fought Darren, he fought Jimmy Flick. Zhumagulov was a guy that would mix it up. I don't necessarily know if Johnson is fighting a lot of guys that want to strike with him, which in general is a good thing. So. Yeah. I've got Johnson a decent favorite in this fight.
That's another good comment. If he tried to wrestle Van, but he shut it down. Van has got elite takedown defense, I believe.
Mudaerji, not as much. We've seen it beaten, especially in his last two fights, by Elliott, and Johnson's got better hands than either of those guys. So
yeah, damn it! I wish the sub KO numbers were reversed here.
Yeah,
I want Charles Johnson at 8-1 by sub here. And then we're cooking.
That to me, that's what it should be. Let's see what I've got. So I've got knockout 11.2%, sub 9.8%. What's points, Matty?
Johnson by decision plus 135.
Oh, I see it. Damn, that's a pretty darn good number. That's not in like MattyBetss territory for a long shot, but that's a pretty darn good number.
I just don't think. This dude's durability so bad. Every loss gets finished.
Yeah. And you said they were all subs, right?
All 6 of them. Yeah. Yeah, I feel that's a good comment. 2-3 sub.
Yeah, at least Johnson has shown the tendency for a sub. I'm not going to shut it down entirely, but we'll have to keep looking. Those numbers are weird and disappointing. That's too bad. I don't want to be on the opposite side. I look at Mudaerji's resume and it is trash. So
Let's see what 2-3 sub is.
Sue Mudaerji's wins. If you
13-1, 19-1, 2-3 sub.
Can I read off Mudaerji's wins? Zaruk Adashev, Malcolm Gordon, Andrei Sukumtov. Those guys are awful. CJ would have finished all 3 of those dudes.
Yeah. I mean, most of his submission losses are in round 2. Honestly, no, 2 out of 6 are in round 1. 4 out of 6 are in round 2. Maybe it's a 1-2 play. I don't mind a round 1 sub here, honestly, because if it's a striking match and Johnson's not winning every exchange, he could just fucking time a takedown on like a 1-2, just time a double leg, take him to the ground and get him while he's dry.
Yeah.
I don't mind a 1-2 here. Especially because look, the over under, well, the under 2.5 plus 180.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
they're giving Mudaerji a lot of credit to. If this one goes the distance, I feel like Mudaerji might have a decent chance to win it if Johnson just played around at striking distance with him for 15 minutes. But I don't necessarily think he'd win it. We've seen a lot of favorites that didn't look like they covered their number that ended up squeaking by split decision. So
yeah,
the good thing about Johnson, another good thing about his money line, he's never been finished, so he's very durable. Like you said, he's a knockout artist going against a guy that doesn't get knocked out. It's a tough sell on the underdog here, I think.
Yeah, 100%.
All right,
let's move on.
So Matty and I are lying. Johnson kind of leaning inside the distance, disgusted by the props, but that happens sometimes. But hopefully we can dive into the props and figure out an angle here. Rob Font taking on Kyler Phillips inside the 135 rankings. Both of these dudes in their fighter picture look like they were stranded on a desert island. What is going on with the UFC picture? Look at this. Both these dudes look like they were stranded on a desert island, bro. And like,
look, you know what Kyler Phillips looks like? He looks like a female with that. They switch the Snapchat filter. Like when they turn like Patrick Mahomes into like a female cheerleader or something. It looks like the opposite happened here.
Yeah, that's such a funny take. That's such a good take. But Matty, I think the question is, we are prop guys. Phillips minus 460 here. I'm not sure if you're looking to take a dog shot. I took a dog shot with Font against Adrian Yanez. It paid off. We'll talk about how my model looks at this fight. I think the Phillips number is a little bit expensive, but at the same time, do you want to back 37-year-old Rob Font? It's a question that I think is tough to balance. So what are you kind of thinking about this line?
Yeah, I mean, I think Kyler Phillips is super underrated. I think he's very high level. But Rob Font is live with the hands in any fight.
Yep.
Problem is you're fighting a guy who's never been knocked out.
Yes.
Never been submitted, never been finished in general. A guy that went the distance of Pedro Munoz, Ronnie Barcelos. Isn't MMA weird? His one loss is on a fight night card. Who's a dude that Sean O'Malley beat the shit out of.
Oh yeah, he gassed hard in that fight. Like he 10-8'd Paiva in the first round.
There you go, Paiva, yeah.
And he 10-8'd Paiva, and then he absolutely gassed, and Paiva squeaked the last 2 rounds out. I think he only got 1 10-8 on the cards actually, but like he was going for the finish, doing dumb stuff. And I just feel like
that was 2021.
Guy. Yeah.
Since then, he's rallied off three good wins.
Yeah. He has a win over Song Yadong as well in a tight decision.
Yeah.
Kyler does.
2021 as well. Yeah.
I think the world of Kyler Phillips, dude. I think he's one of the best 10 bantamweights in the world. He's just so big, so physical. We saw him really. It's hard to beat Pedro Munoz convincingly, and I think he did just about as well as you could have. He did better against Munoz than O'Malley did.
100%. Yeah. I'm going Phillips decision here. It's my prediction. I don't know what the number is. Let me take a look. You think the sub's live, don't you?
No. Yeah, I do think the sub is very live. Like, I am leaning. The question is, do I want to lose money on Kyler inside the distance? Because I played it against Munoz, didn't come through. I played it against whoever his opponent was before
I just think Rob Font just knows how to survive.
Yeah, and it's just a 3-rounder as well.
I think it might be a 30-27 decision, truthfully. Maybe Rob Font grabs round 1 or 2, but I think it's a unanimous decision here for Phillips.
But my question to you, is there any chance that Font's chin is shot? Because he was dropped like 4 times by Chito Vera. He was dropped by Jose Aldo a couple of times. Now, Davison Figueiredo wasn't able to drop him. He hasn't shown a ton of power at 135. Sandhagen came out of...
And Sandhagen was injured, right? Or he couldn't... Yeah, so you kind of throw that one out.
Right.
It's just so hard to take him to get knocked out if he didn't by Figueiredo. That's the problem.
I just feel like Phillips could win this fight wherever he wants to. I think he could take him down. I think he could potentially test his chin. Like, to me, plus 230 is way too distant for how dominant I think he's going to end up making this look.
I mean, I would go plus 550 knockout or decision. The decision's minus 125.
Yeah. Has Font been subbed?
I think once. Not in a long ass.
It was a
he got guillotined against Pedro back in 2017,
and then stopped shooting takedowns altogether.
I mean, and Kyler Phillips isn't really the craziest submission artist. He's more of a control guy. I think.
Yeah.
He is an
KO decision's not a. So you said that's plus 500 KO decision?
No, plus 550 is the knockout.
Oh.
For Kyler. Yeah.
Yeah, let me take a look at what.
So ground and pounds live though.
Phillips points is minus 125. I don't think that's a very good number at all. I've got Phillips points plus 130. I just feel like that's a crazy amount of juice for the decision in this spot relative to the. I estimate that the inside the distance is undervalued. It may not cash. You would favor decision, but I'm kind of out on Font at this point. I don't think he has a ton of power. He's kind of a jab, and like takedown defense is fleeting quickly. Like
that power against Adrian Yanez though.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It rocked him, dude. His head went like completely backwards, dude. I think he still has power. I just don't think he's gonna find that on Phillips.
The difference is Yanez's head defense metrics are awful. Phillips are excellent, and like that's kind of where I get confused. Yeah. I don't see them equally. A lot of people like Yanez, though. I
like his boxing. He's got good boxing, but I agree with you.
Yeah, needs to round out the skill set a little bit. Speaking of rounded out skill sets, by the way, Matty, I think it's time to talk about a fight that you teased a little bit last week. Anthony Hernandez taking on Michel Pereira here. It is main event time. We got Anthony and Michel lined up here. This is such a better main event than what we typically see at the Apex. Like, this could be like a co-main on a pay-per-view type of fight between two guys that seem pretty darn unstoppable at 185. Betting line closing here. Fluffy now down to minus 138. Was as high as like the minus 160 range. My question is here, are you thinking dog shot, or you've been a Fluffy guy through and through? It is really tough to pick between our children here.
I'm so torn. I thought Fluffy was going to be a dog when I first saw this fight, just because of how good Michel has been lately with, finishing guys in the first round every single fight. I think 3 straight fights.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, please lay me some dog money here. I was just begging for it.
Yep.
And then I look at the line, it was like -170. I think that was like 3 days ago.
Yep.
And now it's coming back down, which I'm just sitting here waiting. I'm scared though, bro. I'm scared. I saw what Kevin Holland did round 1 against Fluffy back in 2020. I think Michel has that exact capability to do that. I think there's a world where he's just too big and powerful and explosive early. But I'll tell you right now, the round 3, 4, 5 props are staring at me off my phone right now.
Yeah.
And I want to play them so bad. And even the TKO round 3, 4, 5, it doesn't even have to just be submission. That and those numbers are insane. It's like 30 to 40 to 1 on those round 3, 4, 5 props. The ground and pound, if his cardio is 5 times better than Michel's and this fight goes late, I'm telling you right now, those late round props are so live to me, and I think they could hit pretty easily. I had Michel round 2, 3 knockout against Shabazian and hit that. And then I smacked the Roman Kopylov submission prop.
Yep.
So I've printed money in Fluffy's last 2 fights, been spot on with him. But I would be lying if I said I'm not worried about him early in this fight. Round 1, 2, he has to be very calculated. We interviewed Fluffy on the Home of Fight YouTube channel the other day. Not me, but Jake did. And Fluffy came out and said that Pereira's cardio sucks. He's like, his cardio fucking sucks. He said that straight to us. I was like, damn. Well, he's pretty, but I mean, he's got to be careful, I think, for like 5 to 7 minutes here. And then I think he takes over. It's just a matter of if he gets to that point. So this could be a good value spot to like buy back the steam here. All this steam coming in on Pereira, if we can get like Hernandez at like -120, I do. But Pereira's a good grappler too, so it's very tough. And he's just so big and explosive. And he's gotten so much better the last few years. Like,
yeah,
that's the hard part, But he's fighting trash cans, dude. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Like, he's fighting Ehor. He's fighting who did he fight before the Ehor fight? He fought
outside
Nicolau Zaechuk. I'm a fan of him. I like him. But he's pretty well rounded. He's pretty, he's not well rounded, The Petrosky fight, that was just such a bad matchup for Andre. It's just a bad it's such a bad matchup, So he beat all 3 of those guys easily. But what happens if he doesn't win in round 1 against Fluffy, man? I think every round gets harder and harder for him. And then you look back and you're like, wait a second, Pereira beat Andre Fialho by decision, who gets finished by everyone. He won a split decision over Santiago Ponzinibbio. He didn't put away Nico Price, didn't put away Chaos Williams. So like, he was not this crazy finisher.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a recent surgence against, he went up in weight and he's fighting guys that aren't as skilled, I feel like.
Yeah.
And Fluffy is good, but that Kevin Holland fight's the only thing that scares me. But that was how long ago?
2020. Right after the COVID break. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Matty, I think that it was interesting. I wanted to hear your breakdown because I think you're showing just the tiniest bit of favoritism to Hernandez because, like, his level of competition outside of Kopylov, really good takedown defense on paper. I was on Roman that night, but like Edmund Shabazian's a gas bag. Marc-Andre Barrios a gas bag. Like, you've got cardio pace guy, and like, I think the thing is like, oh, well, he submitted Rodolfo Vieira. If you go back and watch that fight, he was getting absolutely mauled until Vieira gassed himself. It is a cardio bet, which is really concerning when we haven't seen Pereira outside of the first 90 seconds at 185 pounds. Like, I disagree with Fluffy when he says we know definitively that Pereira's cardio sucks because he was cutting a huge amount of weight the last time we saw any length of his fights at all at 170. He's now at 185, and he looks equally as big as he did at 170. It was a mammoth cut that Pereira had, and like, I could see his cardio being significantly better extended at 185. Do you think that's possible?
Yeah, I do, but I think at the end of the day, if this fight goes over 10 minutes, I think
Yeah.
the tides are going to turn massively regardless.
Yeah.
I mean, Fluffy, I think, has elite level cardio, and he's not going to get tired grappling. If he turns this into grappling early, you're going to make Pereira start to work for, everything, and that's going to tire him down. He's not going to get tired striking.
Yeah. I've modeled this out. I've got Hernandez to win 51.3% of the time, so a slight favorite. Right now, that does put the betting value on Pereira at this number. I've cost myself cents if I wanted to bet Pereira because I've been waiting and I haven't been sure. Right. I think look at Michel Pereira, 94% takedown defense. It's really some of the best, at least at 170. He hasn't been taken down at 185 yet. I think there is a fight where Michel just absolutely rolls here. And my official prediction is that I think Michel could really hurt Anthony to the body. I think Hernandez doesn't react well to body shots at times, and we see how Michel will dig those kicks into the side. And it is a very dangerous first 5 to 8 minutes for Fluffy. But as it is extended, do I think that Hernandez would be able to grind out and end up outworking Pereira? I do. So I kind of lean like Pereira 1-2 in this fight, and then maybe Hernandez 3-4-5. I think you could bet it both ways. I've got this fight 70-ish% to not start round 4, so I'm expecting an early night at the office. And to me, early at least, the live bullet is going to be Michel. I think Pereira. I kind of agree with the line movement here, where I really do think that he's going to have the weapons to hurt Fluffy early. If he survives, though, I think that snowball is going to roll downhill. So it's a very interesting fight. I think it's great matchmaking, and I think I'm going to end up rolling with Michel. But not money line. I'll play him early. I would not play.
So Michel by KO is plus 180, sub is plus 1,000, and decision is plus 1,100. And look how many subs he's gotten recently, because he takes the club and subs every time.
Yeah.
But it's like, is he going to do that in this matchup? Probably.
I've got sub more likely than KO. I've got sub 14.6, KO 11.7.
Yeah, so that sub at 10-1 has value then.
Mm-hmm. I'm showing value on Pereira, which makes sense because Hernandez is a guy.
Decision at 11-1. What do you have in this decision modeled at?
So I've got the fight 70% likely to not start round 4. So let's see. Pereira, by the way, if it goes the distance, I've got Pereira decision weirdly short. Plus 345.
Yeah, it's 11-1.
Yeah. And this is the part where maybe my model is broken or it's missing something, because it sees Pereira as the guy with more striking offense, with more striking volume. It may not be able to offset that Fluffy would be really eating into that if he was able to get his wrestling going. But we've quite literally never seen anyone get their wrestling going against Pereira. It doesn't happen. It is a fascinating matchup for so many different reasons.
That's true. I just hate that fucking decision whenever Josh Fram too.
From Anthony?
Yeah.
Yeah. You would have hoped that he got him out, but remember that was on a week notice or so. So weird things.
That's true, yeah. And then the power bar, round 3 arm triangle. Yeah. I mean, Fluffy doesn't get finishes early, dude.
No, it's even because
even in the copy law fight, it was halfway through the second round. I'll tell you one fight that aged well was putting away Jun Young Park. That's not easy to do. He subbed Jun Young Park with the anaconda choke. He also beat Brendan Allen. He has some good wins. That was in the LFA 2018.
Yeah.
So it's a tough fight, bro. It really is.
It really is.
I'm gonna see how much further this number goes down. I tell you what, though, there's zero scenario where I'm not sprinkling on the 3-4-5 for Fluffy. I have to.
Yeah. I
have to.
And FanDuel will split it up. I think they split 4-5 decision. Let's see what I can get. So I can get Pereira round 1 or 2 KO. Or how about this? I can get round 1 or 2 KO plus 330. And
and then you're sweating the submission.
yeah. So let's see what another option. Pereira round 1, 2, or 3 plus 190. I think that is a good number. Man, model would I'd be beside myself if the model ended up calling Pereira decision and I didn't take it though. Maybe I just play his money line, which isn't showing a ton of value. This is tough, man. This is brutal. Really I don't have an angle right now, so
Pereira got subbed before. Who subbed him?
It had to have been outside UFC. I just looked back. You remember the disqualification knee against Diego Sanchez? Because Michel Pereira, when he first got to UFC, was the biggest idiot I'd ever seen inside the octagon. He gassed himself out to lose to Tristan Connolly, and then the knee to Diego Sanchez. I'm like, this guy's just going to stupid his way out of UFC, even though he's incredibly talented. But he's found a way.
It says one submission loss, but I can't even find it on Tapology. There was a no contest in 2018 where it says rear naked choke, but I don't know if that was what they're talking about.
Oh, was there maybe a failed drug test there and it got flipped to a no contest potentially?
I don't know.
Yeah, so it's a tough fight, man. It'll be. Could you see yourself playing 2-way action, or you just thinking how you're gonna back Fluffy?
What's the over under on this? That's
a great question.
That's gonna be
so over number. 2.5 is plus 114. Yeah. That makes no sense. That makes no sense to me that Hernandez is a favorite, but then under 2.5 rounds is favorite. It makes no sense to me whatsoever.
Yeah, that's true. It's a confusing fight. You're either gonna look like an idiot or a genius betting this fight. There's really no in between, bro. I'll tell you one thing. Everyone's betting on Pereira. I don't know that I can jump off my wagon right now, bro. Fluffy makes me so much fucking money, dude. He always gets disrespected. I hit 26-1 on him on that round 3 TKO. 26-1. I hit the submission prop against Kopylov. Everyone was on Kopylov that fight. I just think he's a dog, bro. He's just got to be so careful early. And I think at the end of the day, I mean, what would you line Fluffy against Ihor or Michel or Petrosky?
I mean, so in those orders, like those guys, 2 of those 3 guys have terrible takedown defense, and then Fluffy would absolutely demolish Petrosky's cardio. Petrosky's breathing heavy by the time he gets to the octagon.
Yeah, I would go around 2-3 every time against.
Oh my God, Hernandez 2-3 against Petrosky. Say he loses this fight and they make a fight with Petrosky. Yeah. You and I are going to feed our children's children with Hernandez 2-3, bro. But
so just the pure round props. If I just look at Fluffy by round. Round 3 is 10-1. Round 4 is 12-1. Round 5 is 15-1. It's not as exciting as the submission rounds or KO rounds. Round 2 is plus 750. Dude, Pereira round 1 is plus 600. That's a big number.
That is a big number for round 1.
And that covers your KO and sub there, which is probably the smart way to go. Yep. And then what's crazy is round 2 is the same number. Plus 600.
Whoa, interesting.
And then round 3 goes all the way up to 13, which is that's the cardio there.
I feel like you know what's funny is Michel's like plus 110. He's plus 190 to win in the first 3 rounds. So like odds makers are telling you if Michel's going to win this fight, it's going to be early. Vast majority of the time. It's really weird. But we could say here.
I hate this fight to be. I mean, I love it, but I hate that they made this fight.
I wish we could have gotten different.
No, because I loved Pereira at 85. I was like, I was like, this guy could be a future champ one day. Like he's that good. He's 31. But I was like, wow, you make this fight. I hate that they made this fight because I'm equally high on Fluffy. I was like, I'm not fading Fluffy. It's a very tough fight. I feel like most of the world's on Pereira here.
Yeah,
I don't think I can fade Fluffy, so I think I'm gonna wait and see what that number goes down to. I'll tell you one thing. On some peer-to-peer sites, I could probably get a really good number on Fluffy because everyone's going to be taking the dog here.
Yeah, I mean, I would wait the way this line is trending. Yeah. I would wait. FanDuel at minus 138 is actually the highest number on the American books, bro. It's minus 130 at a lot of other sites.
Yeah.
So like I think you could conceivably, it would not surprise me if Pereira can get to like minus 105, and then maybe it might start to trend back the other way. But I'm a little concerned about my Pereira read just because closing line value has been such a death sentence in UFC in recent weeks. I mean, an absolute death sentence. It was a bloodbath on the Contender Series. Like if you get closing line value in UFC right now, just cash out the ticket and just take the free money. Like, it's crazy. Yeah. But
all right, we should build a parlay and then we'll talk a few PFL fights.
Did I lose internet? Did we lose the show?
I'm right here.
Oh, okay. Woo, weird.
Okay.
I was like, did we lose? All right, let's build this parlay before the internet does weird stuff. It is time to build our quote unquote, always in air quotes, safe parlay for the show. Matty, we agree on a lot this week, so this shouldn't be hard in practice, but we may have a harder time with just not a ton of props.
I'm not in love with a lot of stuff in general on this card. Nothing like usually by the end of the card we were like, all right, we're definitely going with this, and I'm just like, I don't even have that feeling here.
Yeah. I mean, as like a starting point, because we weren't really sure.
Why don't we go Charles Johnson inside the distance?
Okay. Yeah, I like that a lot.
Plus 240. Let's put that in the safe parlay and just do one other small leg.
And I was gonna say, what about Darren Elkins' money line at minus? What is it? Oh, it's not available on FanDuel right now. Great. Is there like a favorite that we both liked a lot?
I'm down to go. So this might be square as shit, but I'm down to go Robelis minus 430 and Joselyne Edwards minus 295. Throw both in there.
I don't want to parlay Robelis in the safe parlay.
Yeah, I get plus 461 on that. All right, so just Joselyne Edwards.
Just Joselyne is plus 355, and we see that go through the hoop.
I'm in on that.
And because then we get the decision's the most likely, but you and I kind of lean inside the distance there. I like that a lot. So I'll put it in our chat here.
All right, perfect.
So, and it's a simple one. Just two legs for you guys to follow. So we got Johnson inside the distance and then Edwards money line together plus 355. And I will take this screenshot.
It's going to be really hard to do the long shot one on this show.
Well, we can.
Maybe we need to throw a PFL leg in the long shot one. I'm down for that. If they have it, if they have outcomes.
Yeah, I doubt we have props.
Dude, it's the biggest PFL card of the year.
It's.
And they have zero props.
It's also FanDuel.
On the main event too. We got to talk about that because Francis is minus 310.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can find a leg first on the main card of UFC.
So did you like a particular? What was the one where we were like sub showing value in comparison? Was that Phillips that I'm remembering that we were like maybe looking at the sub? Phillips KO plus 550.
Yeah, I just don't know if I can take Rob Font to get knocked out, but we're limited right now with what we can do.
Well, we can go to Shady Sportsbook if we need to for props, but I'm just not seeing a ton out there anywhere. For this card.
Yeah, this is a really bad. We might have to do like honestly, bro, you know what we should do is we should throw Charles Johnson by knockout in there. And get plus 850, bro. I think that's what you're referring to, but
that was
who
I was referring to.
I'm in on that. It's not the greatest play in the world, but like this dude's fight has been subbed every loss, and Johnson.
Yeah.
Maybe he can get a ground and pound. It's just that we're just literally playing the number because I actually like his sub. Like I like the round two. Or wait, can we go alternate round? Yes, I think we can do. Hold on, let me see something here. Let me sell you on something different.
Okay.
Here we go. Charles Johnson to win by submission in round 2 or 3 plus 750. You in on that?
2 or 3?
2 or 3. Or we go 1 and 2 is plus 550.
It's weird 1 and 2 is shorter. It is really weird that 1 and 2 is shorter, man.
I have a weird feeling on 1 and 2, dude. I think you can get it when they're dry.
I was going to tell you I would lean 1 and 2 of those two.
All right. Plus 550, round 1 and 2, we're in. I think round 2 is the round. So either way, we're covered here.
Okay.
That's the first leg. The second leg is
how about God darn it. I was hoping for a Penne sub line, but I can't find one.
No. think we have to fucking take Phillips knockout, dude.
There we go. Johnson. This is a terrible. The number I found for Johnson 1-2 is plus
dude,
3.
Why don't we just double dip here?
Johnson
and just
KO,
take Joselyne Edwards inside the dip. Oh, we can't because it's not even on there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all the prelims aren't up. What if we just go to the main event? We just can't because we disagree there. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm. I do disagree. I like Pereira early. You're leaning more fluffy mid rounds, right?
Yeah.
This is brutal. We may have to do you want to hit delay on the long shot and then we release it later? Just because I don't think we have a ton to work. Like we like Penne sub. I was gonna try to sell you an Ardelean inside the distance if we got a prop there.
Yeah, let's delay it. Guys keep an eye on social media by Friday.
Yes, we will
I'll
have
a long shot parlay, and let's not force it because there's just not enough. Like even some of the comments, Matsumoto decision sub, it's not even available on FanDuel right now.
Yeah, I'm not even seeing it on a ton of like domestic books at all.
Yeah, let's just delay it. Let's go right to the PFL,
right.
and look at some numbers here. So there's a few fights I want to cover.
Okay.
Obviously, I want to cover AJ McKee versus Paul Hughes. Okay. I want to cover the rematch in Johnny Eblen versus Fabian Edwards, and then Cyborg, Pacheco, Nagano, Pereira. Those are the 4, I think.
I think so too. So
I'm going Paul Hughes money line, by the way.
Really? What's that read? What's your read there?
So I don't. It's more of a gut instinct than a read.
Okay.
I just, again, I'm not the biggest studier of the PFL, but
yeah,
again, it's more of a gut intuition than anything. I think this kid's a future star. I think McKee's talking about how his losses are fluke. I think he has the wrong mindset.
Sure.
I saw Apache Mix quote tweeted him on that. But yeah, I mean, let's take a look here. It's tough, bro. It's tough. I'm just kind of dog or pass on that fight, but I'm not confident.
Yeah. I will say, Hughes has a win over Morgan Charrier regionally. He's got a win over Jordan Vucenic regionally. Both of those guys decently impressive in UFC.
He also lost to Jordan too on a split.
Yeah. The problem, and Jordan is willing to wrestle, and like McKee is a guy that I think can do that. This fight's at 155, which to me favors AJ. Like I was leaning more parlaying AJ than anything at money line because I think decision is live. Worried about submission, but man,
yeah,
it is a big time fight, and I think I agree with you. I was surprised to see McKee's only 29 years old. I would have guessed he was well into his 30s at this point, but
yeah,
no, yeah, close to the analytical prime. Obviously, I wish I could model PFL stuff, but
yeah.
If you like Paul Hughes, I get it. That money line is curiously short, and I wonder if that's the reason why.
Yeah. All right. Well, what do you like in Johnny Eblen versus Fabian Edwards? I saw Eblen as high as -700. He's -480 right now on FanDuel.
I think I would try to play Eblen inside the distance just because of the 2 fights that have gone the distance consecutively. Like the Impa fight went the distance, and then who is it that I'm forgetting that he fought before that? The Impa fight went the distance. Tokov was he actually got the finish on Edwards the first time as well. So
yeah, Edwards was the second. He fought Impa and Edwards before them, and then Tokov was before that.
Yep.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think I'm probably gonna play Eblen by decision.
Okay.
I don't know the number though. I just think I don't know. Also, you saw like the bad blood has gone between them. They're like. It's like, damn, way to build a fight up. Like, Eblen went on a pod and was like, there's no bad blood anymore. We're cool. I was like, now we're all so excited to see the fight. Like, the PFL needs shit like that. They need these storylines and they need, but it is what it is. I just think Eblen's going to win by decision. I'll tell you one thing. I kind of just played Evelyn money line against Impa, and I thought I lost.
I did.
I ended up.
Yeah.
I thought that bet lost. It was so close. We had Impa on the pod yesterday, by the way. The Show Me the Money pod's going to be up tomorrow. So we had Impa and Michael Bisping both on the podcast.
Okay.
So that episode, or is it up tonight? I can't remember. It's Wednesday. Yeah. So go check that out on YouTube. Show Me the Money podcast. But we talked about Impa. He gave us some of his breakdown on some of these PFL fights. But yeah, I think I like Evelyn by decision, depending on the number. I don't know what it's going to come in at.
Yeah, it is a 3-rounder. Which it is a 3-rounder, right? Do I have that correct?
I believe so.
Okay. If it's a 3-rounder, I totally get Evelyn decision. I think the number you'd be hoping there for is probably like minus 110, about 52, 53%.
Yeah.
Be a good number.
Agreed.
But like I will just have to see where that comes in. I don't honestly hate Johnny's money line if I end up cooking up a parlay for this. Like when I first looked over the card, I kind of was already considering McKee and Evelyn together, but now you've given me a little pause about the first. But
don't
like
put
Johnny
too much stock into it. I mean, Evelyn is more decision wins than finishes, which is pretty crazy to think about.
Yeah,
he's not this wild finisher. Yeah, I'm going Evelyn decision. Let's move on to. Is there one more? Yeah, the women's fight.
Yeah.
Pacheco all day here, bro. Pacheco all day.
Pacheco. I love Larissa Pacheco in this fight. Maybe we should have put her in the safe part.
I'd be down for that to add some juice to it.
Yeah. Let me see if we can cook that up.
What's the number?
I'll get it because I love Larissa Pacheco.
Oh, Pacheco's only minus 130, bro. I'm betting the farm on that.
Yeah.
I'm going big on that, bro.
I feel like everybody and their mother's going to take Cyborg as a dog, but Cyborg seems kind of washed to me. She seemed a little bit slower in recent fights. Like do you have that same sentiment?
Say it again.
I said that she seems a little washed to me. Cyborg does a little
100%. I'm going Pacheco all day, bro.
So adding Pacheco to our safe parlay would make it plus 705. That's a little bit less safe than it was, but what if instead of Johnson ITD, we just took Johnson money line, and then those three together are plus 242?
I'm cool with it. Just send it over.
Okay, we're gonna wait. Apologies if you already placed it. I think it'll cash anyway, but if you ran the window and placed it, we are modifying our safe parlay here. We'll put it up on screen. I love Larissa Pacheco in this fight. I think it's fitting we put Pacheco. To me, I think she's incredibly. We saw how she fought Kayla twice, right? And Kayla is an absolute monster at 135, 145. They changed my name on screen. I'm not Safe Parlay. That's my nickname. I am. If there were nicknames for the two of us, I'm the Safe Parlay guy. Maddie's the one. That's absolutely 100%. The way it is. So our Safe Parlay remix now is we've got Johnson money line, Pacheco money line, and Joselyne Edwards money line. I better clarify it's Joselyne, not Leon. Leon's brother.
True.
And you throw all three.
I just think the PFL really wants Larissa. She's like their post Kayla Harrison.
Yeah.
Prodigy here.
Yeah, and both ladies comfortable fighting at 145. In fact, I would argue that maybe that's a more natural weight class for Pacheco. By the way, she's in her analytical prime. I mentioned before on the show, 30 years old is your analytical prime. It's even more sensitive in female weight classes. Cyborg's 39, man. Like she's been there, done that, everything. She's been boxing recently, and it's just like she had a decision over. I can't remember the girl's name. Blenco? Am I saying that correctly?
I don't know.
I just feel like she slowed down a little bit. I think the reason we got to chat, there's a reason Pacheco's not minus 500. It's because everybody and their brother knows who Chris Cyborg is, and Larissa Pacheco a little bit less unheralded at this spot. Even despite the Kayla win, it was a little fluky. I love Pacheco. I'm gonna bet her, and she'll be part of our show parlay as well.
I like it.
Alrighty, so PFL main event prediction, Matty. What are you thinking here? I hope we're on the same page here because I've just got a gut feeling about this fight, which is really all my PFL analysis is. What is yours?
I think Francis lands a massive overhand and fucking knocks this dude out.
Really? I mean,
yeah.
It would not be surprising because you look at Francis's competition in UFC versus what Pereira has had to beat. It makes a lot of sense, right?
I also think the boxing experience really helps Francis here. I know he got starched, but I mean, level of competition's a joke when you compare these guys, bro.
Sure.
And the Ryan Bader fight, like how much stock are we putting into that?
He's so done.
Dude, I mean, what would this line be?
If Ngannou wasn't knocked out by
what was this line? What would this line be 2 years ago?
Yeah. Ngannou like minus 2,500. It's a good point.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
taking Tyson Fury to a split decision. I don't think is. I feel like you almost gained more credibility from that than losing by Joshua to Anthony Joshua in the second round.
Yeah. Yeah. This might be like a you almost have forgot moment for Francis. Yeah. I mean, this could, in hindsight, we could look back after this, and this could be like the best price in like MMA history. Like it could look that easy for him.
Yeah.
Minus 300 here, like, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, this is a tough fight for Francis. This dude's huge," but it's like, I don't know, bro.
I have my gut feeling was in the other direction, but I think the best thing for Francis to do is to do what he did to Cyril Gane and like take a more conservative game plan. I think, but like Francis is a little older. I'm worried that he's not been super focused on MMA, obviously doing the boxing and stuff like that. It does help, but it is difficult to then go back to MMA and start preparing again, start grappling again. Because like when you're preparing to fight Tyson Fury, dude's not grappling, and like that's time off that Hernan Ferreira was training. And I get the level of competition thing, but I feel like it's heavyweight. We've seen
it. Am I hearing Hernan by sub, dude? Is that what I'm hearing?
I know I can always talk you into it.
What would that pay, bro? I gotta look now. I gotta figure out what that would pay. I don't even know where the hell to look that up at. I wonder if other U.S. books have. I'm gonna see what the Florida books look like here.
I never like laying massive chalk with a dude that I don't think is all in, and I don't know if Francis is all in at this spot. He got his money. Yeah. Some of the betting splits are interesting. That it's a little closer to 50-50, but
yeah, I don't see props anywhere, bro.
Yeah, I think the over might be a sneaky play in this fight.
I was talking to somebody about that. I'm assuming it's a 1.5 number. I just don't know what that.
Yeah, so like a 7.5 minute sweat. Maybe you get a good price on starts round 2, but like
that's gonna be a crazy 7.5 minutes.
Yeah. This is a huge spot for Hernan Ferreira. He all of a sudden goes from a PFL's ugly heavyweight division to fighting a guy who left UFC, baddest man on the planet, right? Like he's got a chance to boost his own
stock. I can't find props anywhere, bro.
Yeah, I can't either. It's just this is the tough part about why we don't talk a lot of PFL is just the practicality of props and stuff like that.
What they gotta fix this shit. They gotta figure it out.
Usually doesn't come out till day of, especially on FanDuel. Like you'll see it Saturday probably if you're looking for props on this guy. Yeah. But I lean over, and I lean Ferreira, but it will depend on the numbers. Some of the numbers I've seen are better than others, and got to depend. Just got to see what it comes out to be. Whether I play a knockout or sub inside the distance, add them together. It does depend, but. I'm a little worried about the chalk, Matty, when I don't know if Francis is all in.
I feel that. I'm trying to see if I can find a number here.
Sounds to me like we added Luis or Pacheco to our safe parlay, so I think we've already accomplished what we came here to accomplish.
Oh, here we go. Let me take a look at this. Oh, no.
I'm trying to get confirmation on the round sizes for these.
Yeah, it's always confusing to me.
PF.
Okay, let's see. Over 1.5 is plus 160, but there's not even props on anywhere I've seen. But you can get over 1.5 plus 160. Wow, minus 260 on Francis on this site.
Yeah, I've seen him as low as like that minus 260, minus 270 range.
I might look. I think a fluffy Francis parlay here on the money line. Is just buying back the steam on both their opponents.
It's been a good strategy lately with how
it might be like for Francis, bro. Can you imagine if Francis closes at like minus 220 and he comes out and just kills this dude in 90 seconds? Like, people are gonna look back at it and be like, "What were you thinking, taking the dog here?"
It looks. I can't find anything.
Yeah, if this fight's like fucking Francis versus Derek Lewis, the PFL are gonna literally be in dude. They're gonna be so screwed, bro. Like, Dana White's gonna sit there and laugh his ass off, dude.
Yeah,
like that's one thing that can't happen in this fight. It can go either way, but it can't be a boring fight, dude. The PFL might as well file for bankruptcy if that happens. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I always, the thing about Francis is he always had the death touch with UFC. I always thought technically he was a little bit overrated, especially when we saw how easily
he was early on. He became very good technically at the end of these UFC run. Yeah. If you look back at footage, remember what's that one fight where he just won against the kickboxer Rosenstrike?
Rosenstrike, yeah.
That's the fight you're like, okay, this dude has no technical ability whatsoever. He's just a knockout artist that those wild shots. But then you look at him against, dude, look at the Stipe 2 fight. Mm-hmm. Very impressive. Patience, technicality. That was the scariest Francis we've ever seen. If we do that, if he does that in this fight, it could be ugly.
Can I throw you a take that I think you'll agree with me?
Yeah.
Aspinall subs Ngannou in 1.
I mean, I ain't ever gonna fade Tom Aspinall, bro. I don't care who he fights. I'll take Tom Aspinall in fucking any sport against anybody. Put him in the boxing ring. I'm taking him over Anthony Joshua.
I mean, he's so fast. He's
so good,
I think the world of Aspinall. But Matty, why don't we wrap up today's show? We appreciate you guys joining us. A little quicker anyway, since we only had 11 fights. So glad we got to break down some PFL and throw some takes around. If you guys have them, hit us up on social media. Let us know what you're playing. He's at MattyBetss with 2 S's like it's spelled there. I am at Swaim3, ASWAIM3. Matty, your full card for UFC and PFL probably going to drop Friday, Saturday, long shots like usual.
Yeah, we'll see. Probably Friday.
Yeah. We have a safe parlay and then we have a safe parlay remix. So I'm not sure which one we're going with, but just play a little bit on both. I don't know, play half and half on both. Whatever you do, hopefully they'll both end up cashing with almost the same parts. So those are our 2 parlays we come with. We'll have a long shot. Social media, stay tuned to it. We'll make sure we get one recorded for the show. But until next week, guys, we have a good one next week. UFC 308 Topuria Holloway. Oh my goodness, is that going to be fun to break down. We will do so next week, next Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern. But until then, best of luck, and we hope you see green.
Let's go.